It's Grotmas Eve with all the shining lights. It's time for the rise of the green tide as we take note of the current status of the orcs, or at least the past status of the orcs, as now we have the data slate, the new detachment right around the corner, new data sheets at our disposal. So let's take note of how the orcs are actually doing right before all these major changes. That way we can revisit this in a few weeks and actually understand how impactful all these big changes that just happened will actually affect the orcs. So let's take a look at a couple of the performing orcs lists of this weekend and a few of the honorable mentions. So, like always, let's start with the. Oops, let me make sure I got my thing up, guys. The wrong thing up. The stats and the facts. So right now we had the orcs actually, as of this is of last weekend. If you're watching right now, currently. So orc players had 27 players. We did have 2 War Horde players go 4-1. A Bully Boyz player go undefeated for 5-0. A Green Tide player go 4-1, and another Bully Boy player go 4-1. So that's 5x and 1 or better performances. Really nice to see, considering that we're about to get a huge improvement. Of course, a Green Tide, it does say a 73% win rate, but that's because there's only 2 players. But think about it, 50% of when the 4 Bully Boyz did so well, that means half the players. So if you're still playing Bully Boyz and you're really optimizing it, there's a good chance that you're starting to figure it out and it's finding its way. Let's see if it holds its ground with the new meta that is to come, though, right? And then we have War Horde with 13 players, obviously still the most players. Then only 1 player playing Cult of Speed, and then we have 7 Dread Mob players. That's with 34% win rate. We know how that kind of looks. Dread Mob always kind of goes hit or miss. People tend to meme out with Stompas, like someone just mentioned in chat. Stompa paint competition. Yeah, shout out to our paint competition. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these orc players that we have up today, guys. Because I think it's pretty interesting that orcs we're already doing respectably, right? So now that we're gonna have these data sheets, is War Horde really gonna keep its spot? Is Bully Boyz gonna shine even more that the WAAAGH is actually being declared at a different time now? The fact that it's the beginning of your turn instead of being at the beginning of the battle round. I already played and tested it, so I have my own personal opinion about that, of course. And there we go. And then we have, of course, our paint competition. So shout out to Baron of Dice. Check them out in the description for 5% off because nobody likes taxes. And let's take a shout out and look at the first undefeated list of this weekend. Actually, it's the only undefeated list. Sorry, I misspoke. Undefeated list of this weekend. We have Roman Keebler. Hopefully, I didn't mess you up. At Honor 0 Heroes. And he was playing the Bully Boyz. So it was a bit of a smaller event, but we're still gonna get it covered because you went undefeated. It did count as a GT. So 27 players. This was in Dutchland. So we'll take a look at his list, and then we will take a look at his path to victory. So we have 2 beast bosses. Boss Necrat as the Warlord, triple war bosses Mega Armor with the Teleporter, and then Zod, Gra, Ward, Snagga. If you've been a watcher of Waaaghtaktiks for, let's say, since Pry Nexus, you would understand that we prioritized being cunning around here. Therefore, we constantly keep advising people bring scouts and infiltrators. And it keeps following through as being a very productive addition to orc detachments. Let's see if it continues to be with our current changes or if our new detachment makes it even better, right? It seems like it's going to be something cunning detachment, right? So we have 2 units of a Beast Snagga boys and then a 10-man unit of boys, followed by a 5-man unit of Flash Gits, 2 10-man unit of Gretchen, 3 5-man unit of Mega Knobs with Twin Kill Sauce, Storm Boys, and then 4 trucks. My boys loaded out with the transports. It's always it's always interesting to me when people bring beast bosses in Bully Boyz, as I personally don't get too much response or let's see value a lot of the time from having them on my list, as they don't necessarily punch out a small vehicle a lot of the time. But from those who do appreciate it, they say they like the fact that you can clear up big groups of other enemy chaff, T3 models, and you can pop transports. So you are playing a little bit of premium for popping a transport. But having the OC and the redundancy of bodies does help kind of offset that. We'll see, if wreckers find their way and kind of start replacing some of these beast bosses that are finding their way on every single list, just like Zogrot is. But Zogrot does his own thing. The new detachment might change that. 4 trucks, I like it. Almost seems a little excessive. You can see putting boys on Bully Boyz is very important, as a lot of the time you're dying and kind of taking up board space. So I have been, tagging the home field objective. I think it's better off that you always prioritize tagging your natural expansion objective. That way you can keep pushing up the field once you've gotten stuck in. So I like all his tools. Zod, a lot of the time he can even be a turn 1 WAAAGH. Remember at this time of this event's placements, he was still calling the WAAAGH at the beginning of his battle round. So you get the defensive aspect from that, but you do want to really take advantage of Zod and that first wall when you're using him on a Bully Boyz list. He gunks everything up and lets you stage up with everything else. So let's take a look at his path to victory. Let's see if maybe Zod would be very important in some of these games, like this one. So we have Blood Angels with a Liberator Assault Group. Keep in mind when you're going into these matchups, 1, you actually have -3 AP because you have a bunch of Mega Knobs, and then 2, Fight on Death, very important. So Blood Angel Captain with the Speed of the Primarch, Captain with Jump Pack, Commander Dante Lamartis, and then a Sanguinary Priest, followed by 1 Assault Intercessor brick of 10 guys, a Rhino, and 1 unit of Assault Intercessor with Jump Packs. You can see there's not those 3-man unit. They used to always bring 3, right, when they were about like 75 points or whatever. Now that they're 90, people just don't bring them like that. 1 big unit of Death Company Marines with Jump Packs, followed by an Infiltrator unit, a Repulsor, Sanguinary Priest, and 2 Vindicators. Very elite. What I will say is normally Orks hate Vindicators. Even in this matchup, don't really like them. They can really blend through Mega Knobs. These guys shoot into combat. So even once you crash into them, they'll start picking you up, even with their blast weapons. But we actually have -3 AP. So we can actually blend through these guys as well as the Sanguinary Guard. They do have them -1 to hit and they're -1 to wound, but we offset that as well. Easier said than done. One thing you got to really keep in bandage here. Take note here. His list is super elite. Where are his screens when he's going into us, right? He has almost nothing that can stop us from just getting our Bully Boy walls into all of this. I was just talking smack about what are the Beast Bosses doing. Well, if there's no screens, Beast Bosses are getting their punches off on the Repulsors, the Vindicators, and it's just Sanguinary Guards that are trading out with Mega Knobs. You could fight on Death as well as these Death Company units. I just have a feeling that he ran out of assets. And the Orc player really managed his CP well. You could even spike on Feel No Pains and armor saves with your Mega Knobs. So that guy's list, and that's what I've said before with the Mega Knob, with the Blood Angels, is not that I don't respect them. They're still very, very potent. But it takes like a really efficient player to understand how to get every single point value out of each unit. Otherwise, they just die when you start doing your trades, right? When you start saying fighting on death, you're gonna interrupt over here, everything dies really quick. And then the double wall means you kind of set the pace, especially if they're scared of it, if they're not experienced against Orcs. So let's take a look at the second game. So that's a 17-point win, kind of a blowout. Interesting considering Blood Angels are highly respectable. But this was a very close game going a second round. Shout out to Jim Jones. Whoa! Let's go. So we have, and of course, this is why it's close. He has Termes, Death Company, Plague Company. Let's go. All right. So we know that this is very, very rough. So he has a Death Company Sorcerer and Terminator armor. Remember, his ability is he can reduce damage by 1 for 1 phase, once per game, I believe. 2 units of Lords of Contagion. That's not the Lord of Violence. Lord of Contagion. I gotta look him up real quick. Mortarion, and then Typhus. Typhus picks someone, does mortal wounds to him, and he has Poxwalkers. We'll see if he actually does. We have Light Lord Terminator, 1 big brick, followed by 1 unit of Cultists, 2 big bricks of Death Shroud, 2 floated blow drones, 3 Mephitic Blight Haulers, 1, here we go, big brick of Poxwalkers, and then only 3 Nurglings. You really love to see the Nurglings that there's only a 3-man unit. 1, because he's not going to be able to constantly put that aura everywhere if he's running a 3-man unit, 6-man unit, for example. 2, and then he can't really use them to deployment move block you with his infiltration. So his lack of Nurglings, in some sense, if he brought maybe 2-3 units or even 1 large unit, he could actually kind of jail you as an Orc unit, as a Bully Boy player. So keep that in mind. At some higher tables, they might have that issue. But this guy does have a lot of vehicles, a lot of drones, a lot of stuff like that. And then again, we see these very elite bricks. He only has 3 big bricks of Terminators and then Mortarion. One thing is that I'll make sure I'll check with the Lord of Contagion, right? But these guys, the Blight Lords, do have decent Overwatch. I would say that, right? That's something that you should kind of be aware of and kind of respect. Let's see the Lord of Contagion up here. I'll pull him up real quick. So Lord of Contagion, while this model's leading a unit and he fights a melee, you re-roll a hit roll on the fight phase. On a 4+, that unit suffers a mortal wound when he loses a wound. Yeah, this model loses a wound, so that kind of sucks. But he allows the Blight Lords to re-roll the hit roll. I don't know how I feel about that. That's not horrible. I think he's using it for the Blight Lords because they get a lot of shots. Keep in mind the Flamer guy is kind of decent, but I would say it's not as good as like a Lord of Violence. That'd be worse. And these guys do a decent Overwatch with their pistols as well. But the Mega Knobs can withstand it. And the thing here is there is one Death Shroud guy that can reduce damage. They do have the strat, so they can reduce damage. If they're not doing that though, your War Boss and Mega Armor picks these guys up. And Bully Boyz is kind of keeping the pace. What I will say is that because Death Guard is slow and Bully Boyz is closing the distance, is that there's a good chance that he just kind of took control of the table and slowly kind of grinded it out to kind of swing primary and secondary. It's a very close game. We can't really say when is this close of a score what dictated it, but when you're an Orc player, you just got to get in there, be aggressive. You're not going to have a lot of OC besides those boys. And Terminators, they will kill you over time in those Death Shroud with the damage reduction and not being able to hit always too well. So and not being able to kill Morty, to be honest. And that sort of list, don't be surprised if you don't end up killing a Morty. It would take both beast bosses and some kind of mortal wounds from grenades to pull down Morty. So in that Death Guard matchup, I wouldn't advise that you go for Morty. So yeah, so then you did a great job there by pulling that one off. Very, very rough. I'm sure that was your hardest game of the path. Then he goes to his third game where he goes into Astra Militarum. So it's a pretty rough matchups right off the bat. And shout out to Ecop for 5 Waaaghtaktiks gifted memberships. Whoa, thank you very much, buddy. That's very generous of you. As always, you've helped us a lot, and it means a lot as well. We'll promise to bring better content and keep improving, including with our memberships as well. And speaking of super great supporters, we got Murder Mouth, Blood Wounds. Whoa! Shout out to my Get Right Here. Thank you very much. 10 is super generous of you. So thanks both of you guys. Keep me motivated, keep my war energy high. So thank you, and helps everybody else out. So let's get some war bosses in chat for these awesome gets. And this Get Right Here, Mr. Roman just going off because this is another hard game. He went through Blood Angels, he went through Death Guard, and he's going to Testament of Time. This is before the Data Slayer, remember, so this is still decent. We have Lord Sol Leontis, a Tempestus Command Squad, Platoon Command Squad, Tank Commander, Catachan, 2 units of Chimeras, a Bolgan Squad, Hellhound Squad, Lehman Rush Battle Tank, Demolisher, Executioner, Ogrin, 2 units of Aquilons, and 1 10-man unit of Scions. All right, I feel you on that. Remember, 3-inch Deep Strike has been nerfed. I would very much hope here that he went first. Keep in mind you have Zagrot Waaaghtaktiks for all of these matchups, so Zagrot gets to get run up, get in the way of all the Terminators from Death Guard. He gets to bull the baits from the Blood Angels because they have nothing that can really kill Zod too easily. And then again in here, Zod can run up and kind of get stuck in with these jungle fighters. I would say that you don't have to necessarily advance. Remember that Zod's pistols and from all his grots would be quite efficient here. They'd be hitting on 3s, and then they would be wounding on 3s. So that'd be pretty dope into a bunch of Catachans. You could probably blow away a unit in one of shooting if you get lucky enough, and then kind of charge one of the other 2. And then that kind of pulls the bait and gets everything started, takes up the space. You could possibly wrap the Chimeras if they don't disembark in time and you go first. So love to see it. And then at that point on, like I said, I assume he went first because he still had to deal with the 3-inch Deep Strike. So respect to that. Can't really say exactly how that went down because it was Data Slate, 19 points. I assume he just went first, ran the guy over, and the guy wasn't experienced enough with like a 6-inch Paladin. Keep in mind, guys, 6-inch Paladin is super important with how it works nowadays, right? Remember in this edition, because people forget this all the time that have been played for a long time, is that if I charge 2 different units into your screen, for example, or the enemy's screen, and they have their tank 4 inches behind that screen of, let's just say, Catachan, and I use Zod or something else to pick up those Catachan. Of course, he would have to have help, right? But let's just summarize this. And he picked those guys up. You could still pile in with your Mega Knobs because you still completed a charge. So you can still pile in and get the combat with a unit that was behind the screen. Therefore, multi-charging and then charging past and through and using that 6 inches where you make the difference. When you maximize that, that's how you end up having the swing game on Mega Knobs. And remember, on the wall, it's a full 6. If it's not on the wall, it's 3 plus a D3. So great job. I assume that's what went off there. He went first. He got one of these 6-inch pylons off, started touching stuff up, getting too many kills, held them back, smashed them up. Great job on that. Then he goes into his fourth game with his high martial head, but again, I'm going to assume it's kind of like the Blood Angels thing, right? Because then you have Zod right here again. So you have high martial hellbreak, Judiciary, Emperor's Champion. So we got from fight first here. 3 impulsors, 3 units of jump pack intercessors, 2 lancers, eradicators, infiltrators, and then 3 units of sword brethren, followed by 3 scouts. I appreciate how many units he actually pulled out of this. Quite good on him. I love that he picked all those scouts and all those jump pack guys. This is not very linear, but I would say the only units that are reliably, killing something like really getting good trades off, I would say on Orcs would just be the sword brethren. Remember, you have beast bosses here that can go toe to toe with assault intercessors. You pop these impulsors quite reliably. You can wrap these impulsors with Zod. You do have to watch out for heroics, but you're going to have redundant units that can get down this field. And lancers, there's a good chance, especially on a wall, you can get lucky and you just not pop a truck, and that happens too. So I can't really say, but I will say he did put up a great score of 14 here. So don't know if you necessarily went first here in this matchup. You don't really have to go first because they kind of come out and he has just impulsors. Might give him false sense of security because orcs don't pop that. And he'd maybe not be worried about getting wrapped. Of course, he can get disembark on 1s and 2s. He would die, but he might not end up where he wants to be. Of course, because Zod can end up surrounding the impulsor and making up so much space that even with the 6-inch emergency disembark, you can't get out. So that's things I've even done with my Zod unit where I'm like, oh, I actually popped your transport and you can't fall forward. You have to fall back when you disembarked. So you have to take advantage of all of those things when you're going against these elite killing guys. And of course, like always, fight on death. So great job there. And then let's look at his last matchup. Taking advantage of those double beast bosses in that triple impulsor mix-up though, right? Ooh, and then we have Bringers of Flame for Sisters of Battle. We know these guys have been completely taken out by the nerves, right? But let's take a look at them real quick because they're probably not gonna be a factor anymore. Not sisters aren't gonna be a factor, I don't think, but I mean Bringers of Flame. So Morgan Vol, Canoness. 4 units of Dominions. Whoosh. I think they separate the combat squad, so that'd be like 6 5-man units right there. 2 Castigators, 2 Exorcists. Those things got nuked. Paragon Warsuit, and then triple emulators. So this is kind of what they were always bringing, a gun line. This got nerfed to oblivion. Glad that you pulled it out, Roman. Even while it was in its most brutal state. So let's take a look one more time real quick as Roman was running. Let's see if this holds up post data slate. Let's think if this does even better now that you changes. So we have 2 beast bosses. As we've seen, he went to a bunch of units that had vindicators. He had to go into guard tanks. He had to go into transports. So beast bosses probably pulled their weight here. And I was speculative about it regardless, and I will say sometimes I am. But you never know what your path to victory will be. With one Snick Rot is a skill kind of thing, and it is a patience thing. Some games you really just aren't going to infiltrate him because he'll die too easily. In some games you might use him as bait where he might get charged and then the enemy's within range of our counter charges and begins the tide. Or you leave him in your backfield, you bring him up, and then he drops into the enemy backfield. That way you can score a secondary somewhere else in the field. It is matchup and deployment dependent. And then 3 Mega Knobs, one with the teleporter. Love the teleporter enhancement because it allows me, if I'm going second, to rapid ingress, and it kind of acts as a QRF, kind of quick response force to wherever I need to kind of support or continue to push pressure if the enemy kind of made mistakes in their movement. I find that important when I'm playing Bully Boyz, that I can get another unit of Mega Knobs wherever I want and then kind of get a nice easy wall advance and charge off after that. Zagra, because if the melee matchup, you can kind of bring out a lot of counter charges and fill up space when you're using Zod, or if you're in a fight, you can threaten a lot of vehicles and tagging them, touching primary to swing OC early game, and that caused that enemy to usually flip, right? If you're making Zod steal enemies' primary objectives and gunking up his chaff and killing his chaff or trying to get in the way of his tanks and his gun lines, he's going to prioritize Zod, and then from there you should be prioritizing your counter charges. So it looks like he really did that a lot and took advantage of a 6-inch pylons. Roman, great job there. Shout out to you and the bully from Ruben. And we move on to the War Horde. And yeah, the Megan boss did get a point hike. That's what I'm saying. Let's see if this ends up running through, right? The list continues to go on. So we have another, and that was undefeated Bully Boyz. Keep in mind, my gets. So let's go on to, Then we go into Mr. Adam Douglas. So Adam Douglas is at the Iron Halo. This looks like this is about 24 players as well. That's just a lot of events this weekend, guys. There weren't too many people, and some of these are in Europe, some are in America, but it is what it is. So Adam got third place, going 4-1. We do have his one list that did beat him we can talk about. So let's take a look at his War Horde list. Let's see if War Horde still ends up being on top tomorrow. Guys, let me know what you think. Do you think War Horde is going to be on top in chat? Let me know, and if you watch this video tomorrow, will War Horde still be number 1 with the new detachment on the way? So we have a beast boss with Follow Me Lads, and then 2 other beast bosses, Waaaghtaktiks Snagga. 3 10-man units of beast bosses. I mean, beast Snagga boys for those beast bosses. 3 kill rigs, followed by a Mega Knob unit, and then 3 small units of squigs, followed by 3 units of Gretchen. This guy kept it very simple and easy. This guy understands 40k. 3, 3, 3. Right? He just brings 3 of everything. And yeah, shout out to triple kill rigs. Those aren't playable. Yeah, kill rigs suck if you didn't know. So yeah, great job by him. What I want to say, guys, if you're watching and you know the data slate has happened, this looks like you might want to play this into Hunt. Let's just say that vehicles and monsters become a little bit more potent. High armor safe infantries come more into play. There's a chance you could run the same list, but in the Hunt, and really get some good value and additional AP with some armor of contempt being taken out, and people are only going to be using to use it in combat against that one unit that wants to blitz you. So you have your beast boss to ignore that armor of contempt, and then your squigs, they'll have 2 AP, so they can at least have AP 1 on their armor of contempt unit early. So that's pretty cool. So funny, it's a War Horde list. Exactly. This could be post data slate now, because remember, this was last week. This is before the data slate. This very much could be a the Hunt list in disguise. So if you find yourself finding one the Hunt list, you might want to look at something like this. Shout out to the fact that he's using 3 units of Squig Hog Boys. I do appreciate them sometimes. They do fall short often. Sustain makes a huge difference. Sustain finds makes even bigger difference. So you really do like that. And other than that, they do need to come down in points. So I'm really glad that he even made it this far. Shout out to him. I'm impressed just by that alone, and I had to cover it for that reason. So let's take a look at his path to victory. What I will say, though, is War Horde, remember, has Follow Me Lads and Here We Go, which does help with delivery in a different kind of way. And then the Hunt has picking stuff up, right? And then like following you, if you fall back, they can like move 6 inches, and they have scouting. So they have other types of movement enhancements, right? So just pulling that out for people who want to comment on that, what they think. All right, so let's take a look at his first matchup. We have, and yeah, he had the gas combo, right? Yeah, thanks for showing that out, Murder. Exactly. And on top of all those guys, keep in mind he has the gas combo, still access of crit 5s, Unbridled Carnage. If it was the Hunt, he could still do that too, though. So his first matchup, look at this. If it was the Hunt, it'd still work. He has Imperial Knights. Love to see it when you have triple kill rigs, triple Squig Hog Boys, triple beast bosses. So I don't got to really explain this too much. My boy brought 3 big knights, and they got decimated. Shout out to you. I love that. Nothing wrong with that. Let's take a look at this guy. Nothing much to say there, guys. You know what happens. Sometimes that would just happen. Then we go into the second list. Now, these are the Necrons. So I wasn't sure because it doesn't say what they are, but I figured it out. They are playing Awakened Dynasty. This is the detachment that gives you +1 to hit when you're being led by a character. Meta vehicles in the future, exactly. A vehicle meta in the future. Sorry, I'm clicking a bunch of I missed there, guys. Looking at the chats. So this is an Awakened Dynasty. These a lot of characters, because whenever they're leading a unit, they get a +1 to hit. So we have Luminar, Suzeris. I do have these data sheets. I'll show you guys real quick. We have Emotech, the Stormlord. We have 2 Hexmark Destroyers, a Locust Lord, 2 Plasmanters, 2 Scorpec Loads, and a Technomancer. Hey, chat, let me know what a Technomancer and 2 Plasmanters do. I see you in there, Christian. Okay, 2 units of Immortals, 2 Flayed Ones, a unit of Wraiths, 2 units of Scorpec Destroyers, and then 1 unit of Heavy Destroyers. A 3-man unit, excuse me. These are all 3-man units, and then 2 individual Locust Destroyers. So he brought a bunch of Destroyers. Obviously, he has the Wraiths, the Immortals, all getting +1 to hit. He does have someone who we all hate, which is Luminar Suzeris. So for some reason, he gets to continue to be Miles from our index. He gets to pretend he has his data sheet, but he also has auras, and he kept his Feel No Pain, and he's cheap as dirt. So we have Luminor Suzeres. He's a name character, epic character. T8, 2 up armor save, 4 up invul, 9 wounds. He has a 4 up Feel No Pain. He does heal because he's a Necron, of course, because he sucks. He has some decent melee at strength 9, -3 damage. He has an aura while friendly Necron battle lines are within 3 inches. He worsens armor penetration by 1. And then he gets more attacks, I think, if somebody dies near him. And then he also gets lone op if he's within range of battle line. So he's also infantry, so he can also move through that as well. So he's usually like within both units of Immortals, and then they'll have Plasmancers for critical 5+, and then the Technomancer. I forgot what he does exactly. I'll check. But mind you, all these guys are +1 to hit, and then they get re-rolls and stuff like that. So love to see it. 2 units of Flayed One, big unit of Wraiths to run up. They do need +1 to hit too. So I think is it Technomancer that gets? Maybe he's the one who goes with the Wraiths. Then 2 units of Scorpek Lords, and then they of course go with the Scorpek Destroyers. They get lethals, they can get devastating, and they do have respectable combat. Mind you, when they're hitting on 2, they go nasty. They go a little crazy. Then we have this Locust Lord right here. So this guy gives critical 5+. So yeah, that's what you would give it. And then each time the model makes an attack and targets an enemy that's below half strength, you can re-roll the wound roll. And then he has a Feel No Pain, and then he can help resurrect people, it looks like. Yeah, he gets to resurrect at D6 instead of D3, so it's pretty awesome. Yeah, so just a lot of very effective hitting on 2s with re-rolls, and I think pretty sure just the reliability, being able to focus down, kill rigs and focus down and beast boss and focus down Squig Hog Boys quite effectively when he really focuses on them, because really just put volume on them. And all these units that we just showed has volume. They have critical 5+. I believe their weapons have sustain or lethal. I forgot, but either one, that's what 5/1s assist with that. And the Necron guns are usually strength 5, so that helps with boys. So yeah, nonetheless, still a great job, but that Necron detachment has been making its rounds. And that's what I always say about triple kill rigs, is it does kind of have its threshold, because you're kind of just bringing redundancy. If someone has the tools for you, then they can just clean up all those things over the turns, and take you off. But I always say, if Shining at 4-1, kill rig can take you there. So then we have his third game. He goes into Death Guard. So Death Guard Demon Prince, followed by a Flaw Blightspawn, Lord of Contagion, a Lord of Virulence, and then a Tallyman. So we said the Lord of Contagion gives them rerolled to hits, and then the Lord of Virulence gives them, I think he gives them reroll. I have to check him again. It's funny. I don't know why I have to check him again. I'll pull him up. I'm getting some of their rules mixed up because I just played Death Card not too long ago against them. Excuse me. And they're all lords, and when people try to play orcs and they don't know all their names, like, all right, I get it. All right, I'll get back to that. Then we have the Tallyman. What is that? A big 10-man unit of Plague Marines with all special weapons. A Blight Lord Terminator brick, probably where the Lord of Virulence went. Death Shroud Terminator units, 2 3-mans. A Poxwalker unit of 20, and then 2 10-man units of Poxwalkers, followed by 2 Mephitic Blight Haulers. Pretty light on the vehicles, but these guys are pretty dope for 90 points. Is there a Typhus, or is the... Interesting. So I wonder what the 20-man unit of Poxwalkers. Oh, there he is. Typhus is right there. Yeah, Typhus and Mortarion. Excuse me. Duh. So yeah, Typhus would go with the Poxwalkers, and then Lord of Virulence, Waaaghpedia. Hold up real quick. Yeah, it was Waaaghpedia. He does something. He does. Yeah, it is reroll the wound roll. Okay, when he's rerolling the wound roll. So Lord of Contagion does reroll the hit rolls. Lord of Virulence does reroll the wound rolls. Tallyman is a lone op, and I think gives you CP when it's used. Foul Blightspawn gives you, I think, fight first. And then Typhus, he goes with the characters and does mortal wounds. So he brings all the characters, which means he's very, very elite. Mind you, having this list does have the capability to utterly annihilate Mortarion. So it does come down to sometimes like Mortarion could bully, kind of like Bully Boyz list, for example, who can't really reliably kill him. Because they don't have like sustained lethal 5+. But in this case, he has Gallus, Ghoul, Thraka, and Beast Bosses. So you can pop Unbridled Carnage, be fish for Dev Wounds, and you can just put disgusting Dev Wounds on Morty, and then Gaz can clean him up after that. So it'd be pretty freaking hilarious. So all these elite characters. Not to mention you have a couple kill rigs up in here, so they can actually land some kill rig shots on this. You can give your guys +1 strength, so even your beast bosses can end up getting +1 and any wounding them on 4s on non-wall turn. Sorry, that means the beast boss infantry, beast Snagga boy infantry, and then the squig hog boys can get up to strength 6. Even on the not wall turn as well. Then they get lance, so they're wounding them on 3s instead. I know they have -1 to wound if they're led by characters, but it does help also with the stuff like that. Yeah, and he does have fish to CP, and he can get +1 to hit too. Yeah, thank you for telling man thing. So pretty cool. I like his list. It was solid. But when they're usually the Death Guard player's plan is to bully you with Morty, and he just couldn't do that when you have gas and beast boss and such. So 91.1 there. When you just had all the tools to run him over when you're running triple kill rigs right there. Fourth game, he goes into World Eaters. A lot of the time when you're playing War Horde, the biggest thing when you're going to World Eaters is fight on death. So we have Angron, Karn the Betrayer, Jackals, 2 Forge Fiends, 3 Mauler Fiends, 2 Destructors, I think 3 Carnivores. Crazy, really vehicle heavy, which ended up being super disadvantaged for him because he's going to triple beast bosses. So this guy knew his meta. He read it really well because he knew there was knights. He knew there was going to be a bunch of people playing vehicles and tanks. And you know what? This might be the future that we all face as well, looking at the meta. With the data slate changes, you never know. People might go vehicle heavy. It might end up making people just want to go towards a bunch of chaff and hordes and stuff. So maybe 10-man unit of beast bosses and beast Snagga boys might continue to remain valuable, just to clean that kind of stuff up and put mortal wounds on these guys. Not sure about kill rigs, but you know, kill rigs suck according to some people, or you know, sometimes it's just people really learn how to take advantage of them really well, and they run decent paths to victory, just like this, where you know, he just teched into his meta and just ended up destroying it. So 92.1 there. Love to see it when you're going to all those world leaders. Of course, Angron comes back to life. It could be a big issue, but as you can see, he had all the tools to really kill this stuff and bully the game. It would just come down to dice and getting unlucky to lose that one. And obviously execution, the fighting. He's already proven he can do that though in other matchups as well. So great job by Adam so far. Love to see it. Love to see that he got these matchups and just annihilated when he did on those. Necron can be tough though. I know that. And then last but certainly not least, he went into Knights, Chaos Knights for his last game. So triple Knight Rampagers, and then it's crazy. You can bring triple Rampagers and still have this many Carnivores. So you have 5 Carnivores and triple Rampagers. So even though, yes, he has beast bosses and he has gas here, keep in mind that you can't like necessarily one-shot a Knight Rampager with beast bosses, right? And you do only get one once. You're only doing the Unbridled Carnage thing once. So this game wasn't as linear and easy as you might think just because he had kill rigs and such. There's a good chance that he might had to have been cunning and really play for the primary, not necessarily let himself die quick enough, and hope that the kill rig can get some kills off and trying to deal with these Carnivores, assist with the Rampagers, get some las cannon things off. Really love that he kind of pulled this one out. This one's not as easy. Of course, he has the tools, right? And the thing is that I really would say is that because this guy has absolutely no shooting, he brought no brigands. If he had 2 brigands, that could help this matchup just a little bit because you can kill stuff like Squig Hog Boys preemptively, and you can pick up 2 different units of Big Hog Boys, or maybe at least most of them, so they're not even a threat anymore to your Carnivore. But if you let just a 4-man unit of Squig Hog Boys hit a Carnivore and drop bomb Squigs and sustain 6s, there's a chance they can just pull down your Carnivore. So this one wasn't as easy. You can see 77.1, right? So talking about the other matchups, like, man, he has the perfect tools. He can punch out Gordy, he can punch out all those vehicles, he can punch out Imperial Knights. In this case, it would look like he does, but triple Rampagers, how hard they hit on the Carnivores, it means every interrupt is going to be important, and every charge, counter charge is going to be important because he could just clean up those orc units as he's getting stuck in. So great job by Douglas for putting that one on because, yeah, you had the tools, but this is about delivering the tools in that sense. So shout out to you. And shout out to your Great WAAAGH. And thank you to Tyler Howells for 5 Waaaghtaktiks memberships. Whoa! Thank you very much. Very generous of you to get. And I really like that model you have on your display picture. So great job by you, dude. That looks sick. And thank you very much. Very generous of you. Can we get some war bosses in chat from Mr. Tyler Howells and this generous get? Thank you very much. Let's take a look at Adam's list one more time before we get out of here. As a beast boss, follow me, lads, with 2 just other basic beast bosses. Gazgul Thraka, Zagra, Wart Snagga, triple beast bosses, triple kill rigs, triple Squig Hog Boys, triple Gretchen, and then 1 2-man unit of Meganauts, twin kill sauce to accompany gas. Of course, take advantage of Zod here, take advantage of the kill rigs, take advantage of redundancy. Can this list shine again with the hunt? That's up to you to decide. That's up to you to actually try and find out. And that's what I think is really cool about this list, is it makes me go like, should we play this with the hunt? So someone play this with the hunt, please, and let me know how it goes. All right. So shout out to you, Mr. Adam. Thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. Made us really happy with the WAAAGH having fun with Squig Hog Boys. I haven't seen that in months, so I'm really happy to show that off, Adam. And now it's time for you, Gits. We're on Grotmas Eve. It is time for the WAAAGH to come with a new set of rules. So if you get my guess, I'm thinking it's going to be something cunning. So tomorrow I'll be doing Mark Perry. I'll be doing Mark Perry. What the heck? I'll be having Mark Perry on the channel so we can go over the Grotmas detachment and rules. We can try to see how we can incorporate the new orc data sheets or some of our masterful tactics that we already know that are tried and proven. So shout out to everyone who's here. Shout out our paint competition because we still have that going. So I need some Gits to get more involved in that. And shout out to everybody who's participated with the dice and anything else, as it means a lot and it helps us out. So there's always one thing to keep in mind is don't cross their wall because we not get eval.